folks, thanks for joining me today. In this tutorial, we are going to be doing a lot of blending. We're going to be using a lot of colors, and I'm going to have everything listed in the description below, but use whatever you have available. You don't need to use the same colors that I use. These are basically just what I had left over sort of in my stock. And the orange that I particularly like to use, it dried up. So I had to use a different one just to improvise. And I'm applying it now. And I wasn't fussy on the color, but it ended up working out just fine. So I'm doing like a sunset. This is a mother-son rock that I'm doing. So I'm just applying the colors for the sunset. And like I said, I'm using a lot of different colors, doing a lot of blending, and always make sure that you blend when your paint is wet. If it starts to get a little bit dried out, just spritz it lightly with a little bit of water just to give it a little bit more moisture so that the paint flows around a little bit nicer. You'll notice that when it starts to lift off the rock, it's probably too dry and you need to give it a little bit of wetness so that the colors will move around when you're blending them together. So now what I'm doing is I'm just applying some blue and I'm going to end it off with purple and I'm blending it all together. This is going to be my sky and is my background. So I'm not too worried about how well blended it is because a lot of it's going to be covered up when I'm finished anyways. If you've seen the thumbnail at the beginning of the video, or the reason why you clicked on this is you'll see that there's a lot of stuff that's been covered up from the background. So it's okay if it's not 100% perfect. I just wanted to give it that appearance of the sky going from the really deep colors of the sunset moving on up to the darkness of night coming in. So now what I'm doing here is I'm adding in some wispy clouds and I'm just using, I think it's like a mother pearl or just a pearl white kind of color, and I've just dabbed it on and I'm using the edge of my sponge. So I'm not going on flat with my sponge, I'm just doing the edge. Now I'm using the same uh, mother of pearl, or it's not mother of pearl, it's white pearl, I think. Anyways, check the description below for the colors. They'll all be listed there. But yeah, so I'm just using the same color, but this time I'm using my blending brush. So it's just an old brush that was pretty crappy, and I just cut it off at the very, very end. So it's really, really stiff and stubbly so that I can get these extra kind of texture kind of feel to it as I'm moving along with putting in the details. And I'm not only just using the brush straight up and down, I'm using the sides and the edges as well because it helps getting that little blurred bit of fine lines, and it really looks good when you're applying it to do clouds, things like that. So that's what I'm doing here. And I'm just blending it all in, making it all look good, and just adding things in. And again, like I said, most of it's going to get covered up anyways, so I'm not really too particular about perfection. And then just to add the night sky, I'm putting on some Dragonfly glaze. It's a glaze that seals the colors, but it also has some sparkle to it. So once it's resin, oh my gosh, it just looks so beautiful. So definitely watch to the end of the video because that's when I do my reveal of what it looks like once it's been resined. So now that I've done all of that, I am redrawing my line for my horizon and I'm adding in the details. So if you remember seeing the thumbnail at the beginning, this is I'm making a tree and there's going to be a swing hanging off the tree and the mother and son are going to be sitting on the swing together. So I'm not very good at painting people, not even in a silhouette kind of way, but I try. And this is just to give you inspiration. It's not to say that you've got to do it this way or do it that way. It's just all inspiration. And I know there's people out there that can paint people better than I can because I'm not good at it at all. But I'm just sketching it all in right now. just so I have some guidelines. I'm using my General's charcoal pencil because it's very easy to erase and you don't have to worry about if you make a mistake or if you start painting and the paint doesn't go over. It's okay because you can erase it at the end. But make sure that your paint is good and dry before you erase it. You can either use an eraser, just a regular from like the dollar store kind of eraser, or you can use a damp cloth just to wipe it off. The damp cloth will work really well because we've sealed it with that Dragonfly glaze, so it won't move any of the paint around that's underneath it, but just be very delicate when you start paint or wiping over the black part of the silhouettes that you're doing. Let me know that you like this video by giving me the thumbs up. And if you want to see more, subscribe to my channel. I try to post every Friday with new content. And if you don't want to miss a post, hit that bell. You'll get a direct notification that I've just posted something. And if there's something that you really want to see that I haven't painted yet, leave me a comment below and I'll definitely give it a try. I love a challenge and I love to try things differently or new. I'd love to hear your comments about what else you want to see me do. So I've sketched on the tree and I've sketched on the swing with a couple of circles there and sticks for the people. I'll do what I can with that, but like I said, I'm not very good with painting people, but I'm giving it a try. And I'm using an eyeliner brush that I got off of Amazon. It comes in a large pack, and I've left a link in the description below if you want to check that out. As well as I'm using an art stone that I received the mold from the Happy Dotting Company, and Angela is wonderful, and you should go and check out her store. She's on Etsy, and you can go to her store by following the link in my description, as well as any dotting tools that you're looking for. Go to the Dotting Center. The Dotting Center has an amazing selection of dotting tools and stencils and things like that. And I just received some stencils that I'm going to be using in an upcoming tutorial just to show you how they work. But you don't have to wait for me. You can go to her website and all of that information is in the description below. So I have links for everybody and links to go to their Etsy stores. Definitely check them out. So all I'm doing right now is the outline of the branches and making sure that they're in the right places. Now I'm not always following the same lines that I drew on because once you put the black on, you start seeing things a little bit differently and you just work with it. And just keep in mind that that white pencil that you've put on there, it comes off, it wipes right off. So whether you use an eraser or a damp cloth or even a paper towel that's been a little bit damped with some water, comes right off. So you don't have to worry about following them exactly. So I'm just basically getting the skeleton of the tree, if you will, put on, and I'm putting on little branches here and there because I will be applying leaves to this. I'm sorry my hand gets in the way. Sometimes I forget that I'm filming and I just get in so involved with the painting that I totally forget that I'm also got a film going on for you guys so that I can show you. So but here I am putting those leaves on that I was talking about, and all I do is I use my brush that I've made, like a blending brush. Oof, I'm a little bit tongue-tied today. But yeah, just a little blending brush, and I just dab it on. And I will be putting other colors on. I think I used like a really dark green there. I will be putting on a lighter green just to give it some more definition of lights and darks. And I do the same thing later at the bottom, so I try to portray it as grass. But right now I'm working on the swing, and I did a close-up here just to show you they're just little circles that I've made and I'm just painting them in. I'm not worried about facial expressions or details or anything like that. Just basically coloring in the circles that I drew. It's a silhouette, so it's just the outline of the body, and then you just fill it in black. And that's what I did. I do later on go on with doing a little bit of shading with, actually not shading, I do light reflections from the sunset And you'll see that once we get to that point. But I just wanted to do a close-up just to show you. If you look, you can see how the tree leaves are on the tree, and they're just very simple, spattered on or pushed on, I guess, with just the blending brush, and it works really well. So now I'm just adding the arms. So you got to hang on to that swing. If you are swinging, you don't want to fall off. And then I do the little boy. So basically the same way. And you can see I'm not even following the lines. I just putting putting the black paint on where I think that it needs to go. And yeah, so those lines will be erased later on and definitely before I resin. I have done that before where I've resined before I've cleaned off my pencil marks. And I'll tell you, it's not, I don't become a happy camper at all with that when that happens. But it does. People make mistakes and we're not perfect, and that's totally okay. So I'm just doing this sort of like the mom's kind of holding on to her son so he doesn't fall off the of the swing, and just adding their legs as they're gazing off into the sunset. This rock is kind of dear to me because it reminds me of something that I would do with my son, and I wanted to share that. So that's what I'm doing. I didn't like the ponytail either that I put on the mom, so I do change that afterwards and I actually make it more of a mess, but I fixed it up. So you'll see as we go along that that'll happen. But this was really fun to do. I wanted to do it for Mother's Day as a gift to myself, but I will put this up in my Etsy shop, as well as all of my other stones that I've made through these tutorials and through um, things, places that I haven't filmed or stones I haven't filmed. They're all up on my Etsy shop, which there is a link in the description below. So please go and check out my other stock that I have available as well. So here I am, I'm just adding some more leaves. I want to make the tree a little bit more fuller because this is summertime, so it's in full foliage, and I really want it to look nice and full and healthy. And now I'm doing the grass in the bottom. I did do some wisps of grass by the tree trunk at the bottom there. Very simple to do. You just load up your paintbrush and just do a quick flick. And that's all you need to do. And now I'm putting on some of the lighter green, and I'm not being careful with this. I'm just putting it here, there, and everywhere just to give it a little bit more definition. And then I go in and I've got to do some lights or like reflections from the sunset on the tree trunk itself. And tree trunks aren't just smooth, so you've got to put in a couple of extra ones where the light's sort of bouncing off of it. I used my finger there because it was a bit too thick, so it's cleaned it up for me just perfectly. And I just do a little bit on some of the branches that are showing, and I do the swing and just some little spots on the people that are sitting on the swing. And that's about it. That's all that I've done. I do clean up the edges a little bit later, but I'm really pleased on how this turned out. I wasn't sure how because, like I said, I'm not so good with people, but I am in face to face, but not, painting them. So, but I did my best. It was something I wanted to try. And this is just a lesson to everyone that, you can step out of your comfort zone and be okay with it. It's okay to fail. It's okay to not like what your product is, but just go for it. Just do it. You will never know if you don't try. So always try. So here I am just cleaning up the edges. I don't do anything special with this. I don't put a border around it. And oddly enough, no dots. But I'm just cleaning it up to make it look good and get it ready for resin. I didn't even put bling bling on this, so it's just very plain Jane. I think it speaks enough for itself. It's all about the fun you had creating this. So remember, folks, life is what you make it, so get creative.